Hello YouTube, it is me again, back with another video, and I'm very tense right now, so that might mean that my voiceover is a little strained, but this is giving me something to do to distract myself from kind of what's going on in my life right now. So if I seem a little less energetic than usual, that is why. Okay, so this is going to be a character introduction for my two characters, Dakota and Emery. The drawing that I did of them in the universe introduction, I just honestly really dislike it. It doesn't look like them, it doesn't look right, and it was my first time ever trying to draw them, so their outfits didn't look quite right, and as you can see later in this video, I kind of struggled with Dakota's outfit a bit. Emery's has always been kind of stable in my brain in terms of what she wears and her sense of style, at least for the first book. But Dakota's has always been a little bit nebulous, so I actually had my friends Zoe Mariner and Sammy who helped me figure out what I wanted them to look like. So thank you, especially Sammy, you really helped me with the outfit, so if you're watching, thank you. So let's get into the twins and who they are. So the twins are two Georgia-born girls. They are the eldest siblings. They have one little brother, and then they live with both of their parents. Their little brother I haven't named yet, so I will just be referring to him as their brother throughout this. So two girls are born, and they are, as the universe dictates, infused with some sort of essence. So obviously not all people are, but if you watched my universe introduction, you know that it's possible and that it happened that angels and demons infused their essence into adults and newborns in an attempt to create a perfect hybrid of human essence and angelic or demonic essence. And these two girls were part of the experiment to create the perfect half-demon. Well, when they were doing that, it wasn't really fully known at the time that they were infusing the essence into twins, so the demonic essence split between the two souls. So Dakota and Emery both have parts of the same demon in them. Dakota ends up having much more of the demonic essence than her sister does. It's much stronger in her, and that leads to a very harsh child. Neither of them is necessarily a picnic. They both have this very sassy, quippy attitude, and neither one of them is very hospitable. But the girls have very different moral planes, and the marked difference between them in terms of personality is that Emery has empathy and Dakota does not. Dakota cares very much about herself and only about herself and furthering her own means. She cares for her sister only by way of her sister being part of her. So she defends her sister only in the respect that she doesn't know what would happen if her sister died, if the demon inside them would kill her if her sister died, and that's really the only reason she takes care of her sister at all. So yeah, that's pretty much their personalities. They are both very, I guess you could call them intense. Neither of them really has a sense of tact. Both siblings are very sarcastic, and neither of them has a sense of when they need to shut up. Emery is a little bit better than her sister in that her sister is just downright vindictive. Dakota will say just about anything, truthful or not, if it means upsetting or hurting somebody. She will throw wild accusations out, and she will lie and manipulate and do whatever she has to further her own means. Most of the time when Emery is saying something harsh, it's because it's a brutal and hard truth that she thinks you need to know. So even though she's sometimes rather harsh about the way that she presents things, usually she's fairly well-intentioned. Her morality is a little flexible. She's willing to hurt people if it means protecting the people that she cares about and the people that she deems worthy of her protection. And her morality on that front, if someone threatens or or intimidates someone that she cares about, she is more than willing to do absolutely anything to ensure that that person stops, including but not limited to hurting or even killing them. Dakota, on the other hand, is much more direct. She is much more unrepentantly vicious. And this kind of becomes a problem because the demonic essence means that both girls are much more prone to psychic ability. And because they have the same essence within them and the same DNA, it ends up creating two intensely powerful and intensely driven fire starters. Dakota is driven by her own personal self-interest, and Emery tends to be a little over-emotional, which means that they oftentimes start fires that they don't necessarily mean to, or, in Dakota's case, that are unnecessarily harmful. So that is sort of the core of the troubles that these girls get into when they're younger. Neither of them are particularly good students. Neither of them really cares about education or about their school lives, so neither of them really gets good grades. Emery is a little bit more persuaded by her parents to kind of work a little bit harder on her schooling goals, and as such gets better grades than her sister, but Dakota doesn't care about any of it. She skips school, she hurts other students, she gets suspended, she even gets expelled towards the middle of her high school career when she's 15. She gets expelled for stabbing another student in the arm with a pencil. Well, that is sort of her parents' breaking point. By this time, they have their little brother, who is, I would say, 6 or 7 years younger than them. So when they're 15, he's 9. Best guess for me at this point. And Dakota is expelled. So her parents have enough. They can handle Emery because they can kind of keep her under control for the most part. A lot of the times when Emery gets in trouble, it's because she's in association with Dakota, who is the instigator. Emery doesn't mind, but she can be controlled. On her own, she's pretty innocuous. But their parents are finally like, we just need to send Dakota to a school that is going to be much harsher with her and where she can get the training that she needs. So they set up sending her to a boarding school out of state, and they are going to send her away in the hopes that it will scare her straight. Well, it doesn't go so well for them. Dakota ends up getting really angry. She thinks that her parents are not only abandoning her, but they've completely betrayed her. And Emery's pretty upset. She loves her sister, and she doesn't want to see her sister sent away. So they end up kind of concocting this plan that the two of them will run away. And Emery fully believes that when they leave, she'll be able to keep her sister under control and that she'll be able to keep people safe and kind of help her sister mellow out a little bit. So Emery goes to say goodbye to her little brother and to explain to him that they're going to be leaving and that she'll try and come back and see him when they're grown. And he is devastated. He loves his sister. Not so much Dakota. He and Dakota have a really bad relationship because Dakota's violent and horrible. You're not supposed to like Dakota. She's kind of a terrible person. But he tries to chase after his sister. He's like, I don't want you to leave. Why can't she just go? If she wants to leave, we'll let her leave on her own. Please, why do you have to go? You're not responsible for her. And he ends up kind of chasing her out into the lawn. Emery hears her sister and shuts him up so that her sister doesn't discover that he's followed her outside. Because she has no idea how Dakota would react in trying to cover up her plan. But she has no idea that what she really should have been worried about is where Dakota was before. Emery tells her brother to hide around the edge of a bush and goes over to Dakota, only to learn that one of Dakota's countermeasures was setting the family house on fire with her parents asleep upstairs. And Emery panics and tries to put the fire out, but she can't. She is a fire starter, not a fire stopper. So the house goes up in flames. it's destruction everywhere. The stairs collapse, and her 2 parents are killed inside. Luckily, because her little brother was outside with them, he is spared from the brunt of the flames. So he ends up getting away pretty much free. He ends up with a burn on his arm, but he survives. Well, Emery doesn't want Dakota to figure out that her little brother is out there, so she grabs her sister and they book it into the night, steal the family truck, and disappear. They eventually hop out, go on foot, and Emery does her best to keep Dakota's cold, dark impulses at bay. It's kind of a miserable situation for Emery for a while, because she has no idea if there's anything left of her sister to save. But every time that she thinks, maybe I should just give up on my sister, maybe she really just doesn't care about me, Dakota goes out of her way to manipulate her sister into believing that there's hope, so that she can continue to have her sister around to ensure her own survival. So Emery is pretty much persistently strung along by her sister, who manipulates and gaslights her at pretty much every opportunity to ensure that her sister never seeks a way out. And it's kind of really sad. Well, they end up living that way for the better part of 6 years, until they're in their early 20s, when they feel a sudden urge and they feel drawn to New York. And they really don't understand why. Neither of them understands why they're feeling drawn to New York. They just both kind of wake up and decide that they have to go. And when they get there, they both have a premonition, a dream of the same apartment door. So they search around a while, find the apartments, and go to that apartment door, where they meet up with the main characters of our cast and inform them that they had a vision that brought them here. Well, by this point, Crow and Crane, as well as Crane's friend Caroline and Crane's mother, have also met another character I had yet to introduce named Drake, who is also likewise drawn by a similar impulse. So they all kind of figure out that they've been drawn together somehow. And it's Drake who helps fill in the pieces of what they are. He explains to them that they have demonic essence inside them, and it's drawn them closer together. So that is where these characters all come together, and ultimately, Emery is on the side of the good guys because she empathizes with them. She empathizes with the struggle of feeling like you're being followed by death and destruction, but she also wants to make sure that the world is taken care of and safe. Dakota is really kind of along for the ride incidentally, by way of she can't exactly leave her sister behind, and she can't persuade her to stay. She can't persuade her not to stay, rather. So Dakota's just kind of along for the ride. She is a protagonist very, very incidentally. And honestly, I'm not even sure she's really a protagonist. She ends up having a little character arc of her own, but the biggest one is definitely Emery's character arc, as she kind of tries to figure out who she is with and without her sister, and how her sister has truly affected her life. And it's a very fun dynamic to play with, because I get to play with this sort of antagonistic, traditionally villainous character, who is incidentally working with the good guys. It's quite fun, and I know that I've been telling you about how terrible Dakota is, and she is a terrible person, but she's also really fun. There's a reason that people like her. It's because she's very wild and adventurous, and she doesn't care about what people think of her. She doesn't care about any of that. So she's actually really fun to hang out with, and also really fun for me to write, and hopefully for people to read. So that is where I'm going to leave you guys with these two characters. There is more to their character arcs, but again, that would get into the story, so I hope that I have been concise, and that I hope that I have explained everything as well as I possibly can, and I hope that you enjoyed watching me do the full body drawings of these guys, because I had fun with them. So with that said, have a good morning, evening, afternoon, nighttime, time of day, and I will catch you guys in the next video. If you're subscribed, which you should be, and you should also turn on that notification bell so you know every time I post. I would like to briefly apologize for the fact that you can definitely hear my dogs clapping around in the background. Dogs will be dogs. Anyway, that said, I hope you enjoyed the video, and I will catch you guys in the next one. Bye-bye.